Thank you for joining the September 17th, 2019 VOLTHA call. Just a reminder to everyone that these meetings are public and recorded, and we do post them to YouTube after the meeting concludes. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with today's meeting. So you should see on the screen the agenda for today. First off, we have a review of new JIRAs that have come in since our last review, and then since this is the final week of Sprint 6, it's targeted to post Friday, we'll be going over some Sprint status updates as well. And then I'll point out to folks, and we'll probably mention this at the end as well, that this coming Thursday we do have a discussion lined up, and that's on the document that Ken sent over VOLTHA Discuss. So I do have a link to that here as well. Okay. With that, let's go ahead and start looking at new JIRAs. And just to make everyone aware, we've had some discussions last week at ONF Connect and in the background, and we're probably going to be revamping this call a little bit. So I believe we're going to look at shifting the majority of new JIRA reviews to related brigade. So if it's impacting a specific brigade, probably that will be handled on the brigade calls rather than on this one. And then we'd have brigade leads be giving status updates on this call in place of that portion. If it's a JIRA that's not clearly in a specific brigade, then that would be reviewed on this call during probably the Tuesday call. So the format is still TBD. We're working on the details for that, but I think we'll be seeing some changes over the next few weeks. So I wanted to make everyone aware of that. But for today, we will go ahead and do the review of the new JIRA. So let me move over to starting with 1902. Okay, and for 1902, AF route monitoring broken. And for this one, I did have a question. So this one is showing up with a Garrett review, but it's shown as resolved. I know we changed our process flow recently for the status. So I wanted to check if we have anything we need to discuss on this item. I think it probably needs to be moved back to in progress until this merge is done in Garrett.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let me go ahead and change that status. Okay, and then just point out again that we do have that review out there in Garrett, so hopefully that will get resolved by the end of the week. Any questions on this item? I do have the description captured here. Okay. Next, we've got VOL 1903, VOLTHA BBSIM not building. And this one is shown as a blocker. Currently, we have no assignee for this item. But we also do have reviews in Garrett. So I expect probably there's an assignee, and this should be moved to in progress. And I have not yet taken a look at Garrett. Pardon?
Yeah, if we take Garrett, if we look at the Garrett, we should be able to see some of the patch sets.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Looks like Karthik's working on this one. Let me double check.
This one we're going to have to kind of bully through just because Jenkins is doing something fundamentally different for the BBSIM test.
Okay.
Because I know we looked at it, but it looked like what Jenkins was trying to verify didn't quite match what we were doing in 2.x, if I remember correctly. So it's still sitting with a -1 and probably won't go anywhere until either the test environment is updated or we just trust that the -1 is not going to impact us and we merge it anyway.
What needs to be changed about the test environment? Do you remember?
When I went and last looked through it, it was like it was trying to build and test it in a 1.x environment. I could be totally wrong, but yeah, it's probably worth looking at again just to see if that's still the case. Maybe a recheck might be enough to force it.
Is Zach on the line?
I can take a look at this. I already have a patch set to make it so that it builds during the test.
I saw it for that second one. Okay. Let me go ahead and put this in the active sprint too. Okay, Zach, thanks for offering to take a look at that. This one I see from the comments, probably we should have the stabilization label on here as well.
Yeah.
Add that in. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on this item? Then let's go ahead and move on to Vol 1904. This is OpenOLT, make OpenOLT adapter resilient. And that one is listed as a future.
Really, I'm working on it.
Pardon?
I'm working on it.
So should I move this one to in progress then?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And any questions from the group?
By resilient, we just mean that if we stop the process and start it back up again, it still works as expected.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Probably need one for the ONU as well, just to double check that it too is, at least to double check if it behaves the right way on restart.
There is one open. There is one task open for ONU as well. So I am looking into that as well.
Okay. Cool. Good deal.
So let me go ahead then. Since this is work in progress, I'll put it in the current or in the 2.1. And then I have a question also. Is this one that you think is going to be carrying over to the following sprint? Our current sprint wraps up this week. I wonder if I should just map it to the following one.
Yeah, it would probably, yeah.
Okay. I'll make a note to myself here. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move on then. Next, we've got a batch of new tasks related to creating unit test cases. And I'm going to go ahead and go over to the primary one here, 1837, because we have a batch of them that have been added under this. Okay, so going over to that, you can see we have a number of these new test cases, tasks open for creating unit test cases, and a number of them are in progress and others are unassigned. And if you were on the stabilization brigade, you probably heard the request for people to develop unit test cases as well. So if you feel like taking some on, we do have a few identified with this new batch of JIRAs as well. Anything that the group would like to look at in particular for this new batch of JIRAs? Okay.
I'm not seeing anything in there for Affinity Router. Do we want to add anything for that?
Yes.
This was, yeah, this one was specific for the OpenOLT adapter, so it might need to go under a separate
Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ONU probably needs its own story with its set of tasks per file as well. I mean, we could probably do this for all of them in reality and just check them.
It's somewhat, yeah, it goes down to what level of detail do we want. I mean, you could go down to the per function level detail, right? Or do we...
Well, I mean, maybe at a minimum, like was done here, just at a per file level, and then from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at least if it's in here, we can point to it and say, you know, there's a spot to assign the work.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do some for Affinity Router because I have a few unit tests coming in for the logging patch already. So I could broaden that to some of the other files. So someone can create the JIRAs, or I can go in and create the JIRAs, either way.
Yeah, I was going to take care of ONU and Open OMCI.
Okay, I'll make up stories for Affinity Router then.
Okay, so
Didn't your
Scott,
mother ever tell you not to make up stories? No, sorry.
No, but I'm pretty sure she told me don't mess with Affinity Router.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and so Matt, you said you were going to open the JIRAs for the unit test for OpenONU and OMCI, and then
Yeah,
Scott
I'll go
for
ahead and
Affinity Router. Okay.
I'll get those. Now, that's not saying I'll work all of them, but at least I'll
No. Right.
point.
That's just what I was looking for. Okay. So we'll get those added into JIRA. So thanks to both of you. All right, then we'll go on to the next one, 1913. This is a new defect opened, flows stuck in pending add in ONOS.
Actually, that one assign that to me. I'm working on that one.
Okay, thanks, Kim.
I think this has been discussed a bunch, but I believe resolving this will resolve a lot of the intermittent failures in some of the testing in Jenkins.
Yeah, that's correct.
And
Is this part of stabilization?
Yes, it is.
And Ken, you said you're currently working on this one?
Yes.
So I should move in progress. Are you thinking it will wrap up in this sprint, or should I place it in the next one?
I think it should be wrapped up this sprint.
Okay, let me go ahead and map it over then.
By the way, when is the end of the sprint?
End of this week.
Yes.
Supposed to ask that question first.
In hindsight, I should. But I think
if
that
it carries over, we'll deal with it then. Yeah. Okay.
No, but we should be able to.
Okay. Thank you. Then let's go on to the next one. 1914. Reboot device in BBSIM needs fix. And then we have the description and then resulting error that's seen and a proposed possible solution. Any discussion on this item today? I'm thinking this probably is stabilization as well.
Yeah.
Add that in. And then do we want to target this one for 2.1?
It has to, right?
And part of the issues around VBSIM are always going to be when is a new VBSIM going to be ready?
Yeah.
Is this a new BBSIM or is the old one? I would assume it's the old one.
I'm assuming.
Implementation, so that sounds like the old one. Other discussion?
Potentially, the old one will be abandoned, right? If the new one works. Let's leave it this way and then see how's the progress on the new one.
Okay. All right. We'll go on to our next one. Vol 1915, implement suppress and unsuppress events in OpenOLT adapter.
Interesting. I would like to see how. whether there's any architecture can be explained this. Or I know. You know, we always ask we need to have alarm suppression, right? But is the alarm suppression done on the open OLT adapter level, or is it on the northbound? I think it should be on the adapter level. Anybody has any comment on this one?
I think we discussed this before when I'm trying to implement the same for the OpenOLT, Python OpenOLT adapter, and we decided that we should have an architectural discussion for this one because there are two different approaches for this. One is suppressing, unsuppressing, and the other one is event filtering and unfiltering thing. So I don't remember which one we did choose. So there might be also, so we can use if there is a filtering feature instead of suppressing and unsuppressing. I don't know.
No, because when you suppress it, then the stuff never get into the Kafka bus, right? So,
we talked about this in Huntsville. We might need to go pull up some of our old notes.
yeah.
I really thought it was let the fire hose run, and then something northbound can decide whether or not it's meaningful.
Yeah, I thought that was the direction we had leaned into also, that we were just going to push everything and filter later.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But there is a benefit, right? So if you suppress some alarm, then you don't get so many stuff in the Kafka bus also. But again, what that depends on, you know, you want to handle it on the southbound, or you want to handle it on the northbound of the VOLTHA. So yeah, we need to. I think it. I understand this one. Do we know this? I guess this could be part of AT&T requirement. Do we have other people, service provider, want this one? Okay, I think maybe we should have some further discussion.
Okay. So 1915. Okay. Anything else before we move on?
Let me ask, Ablash, is this one of the items you're working on that alarm suppression stuff?
No, sure.
Okay.
I think so. This is probably DT is working. Salman is from Radisys itself, working for DT.
Okay. Bjorn, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Is this ticket the DT want to implement the alarm suppression on the adapter level?
Yeah, we had some internal discussion, which seriously thought about that. I have to go back into my mind to figure out if that is the final decision. But yeah, we had exactly that concerns to prevent flooding any bus or any northbound equipment or apps or whatever with a lot of events.
Yeah.
So therefore, we thought about that, and obviously this considered as a decision already. I have to recheck.
Okay, let's sync up this one again.
Yep.
I don't think it's a bad thing. it just we need the northbound API enabled to also to enable this feature also. Okay.
Sean, we also have similar requirements. I mean, we have a requirement to filter these events on SIVA level, but not in adapter level yet. But I think for the next phases, Türk Telekom also will ask for the adapter layer filtering or suppression kind thing. So we have to further discuss this as a framework, I mean, alarm framework. Because the general issue, I think, for our adapter or adapter or agents, I don't know.
But okay, now my question is now, I'm sorry, do you, for example, you have the one OpenOOT adapter, or one OOT adapter serving, let's say, 100 OOTs, right?
Yes.
So you have this adapter, and you only want to suppress one of the OOT, but you don't want to suppress others in some situation. But if you implement it on the adapter layer, then which means all the OpenOOT it supports will be suppressed, right? Will be affected. So I'm curious, I do think they are alarm suppression on per OOT basis, right? So how do you do that if you have a common OpenOOT adapter?
An adapter has many handlers. I mean, we could get into the weeds about how to do this, but the architecture of the adapter is such that you can, per instance of a handler, per any single OLT, filter everything. Or we also got to figure out, for that one instance of that one OLT, we only want to filter out alarms for PON port 5, right? This can get pretty granular pretty quick. Functionally, the pieces are there to do it. It's really just now a question of how richly is the northbound API going to need to be to turn off certain granular elements.
Okay. I didn't know that, the OpenOOT adapter can handle different hardware differently. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, I think, okay, so further discussion is required.
All right. Anything else before we move on to the next item? Okay, we've got Vol 1916, migrate Golang projects from using DEP to Go modules for dependency management. And Zach, this one was opened by you. And then we have a number of related subtasks.
Right. These are, so it seems like the Go community is moving towards using Go mod rather than DEP. There's already some tools that we have that are using Go mod. BBSim, new and old BBSim are using it. I think there are a few others. It's possible to easily migrate over. I linked to an article that talks about the automation that already exists so that you can basically run a couple commands and it will switch over. This would just basically need to be tested and made sure that our versions match and do that. And this was also requested, I think, from DT out of the Tiger team. So we'd like to get to the point of having some having sort of a consistent environment across all the projects that people can understand and don't have to learn DEP and mod. And because mod seems like the future, that's the direction I think we're taking. So I made a bunch of items here for managing this. I don't think this is big work. I think this is mechanical churn through work. So if people want to pick this up, that would be great. Also, I made one for the cord control tool, which is outside of VOLTHA, but is also using Go mod. Any questions?
Is this stabilization?
I'm not sure it's stabilization, more as to hit some of the Tiger team targets. But I don't see why, because it's just a dependency analysis, I don't see why it would get in the way. I think if we're going to do stabilization, I don't think it's a problem to get on the stabilization branch. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, so you would want this one to be part of stabilization brand to implement this one also, right?
We'd want it on both branches, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
And let's put it stabilization also. Does that agree?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, let's add that to the subtasks later. So I'll try and remember to do that after the call. Then anything else on this before we move to the next topic? Okay. Then we have a new story, 1922, add support for PondSim data plane to kind VOLTHA. And this one, I did have a question. I need to make sure I go back to my thing here. The 1922 and 1923. This one, it shows as blocking in progress work. So I wanted to check to make sure we have our dependencies sorted out and to see, because this one doesn't, if it's blocking in progress work, we don't currently have anyone assigned to work on this either. This one and the next defect, which blocks this item actually, I believe, 1923.
Hi, Julie. It's Joe. This is the test automation work, but testing with PondSim.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe it should not be in progress. It could be set back to do because I can't. 1816, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just like it's the first test case of the series of with PondSim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go back one page then. Okay, so that answers my question. And then next question is this one, you know, since it's blocking for other work, then we'll need to see if we can find someone to work on this.
Yeah, this is something Andy and I discussed,
okay.
and he's in favor of seeing this done as well. So he's the one that raised the story, but you know, I need it as well for test automation.
Okay. And then that is also blocked by a defect PondSim data plane setup issue in kind environment. And Andy opened this one as well. So Gilles, I'm guessing you had discussion with him on this also?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And again, this is when we don't currently have anyone assigned to work on it. But it is blocking for some of the automation work. Any discussion or questions on this from the group?
Are they stabilization? I think the automation.
If you consider test automation part of stabilization, I think this has to be. And if it's a blocker, we need to find someone and get them assigned.
So I'll add the stabilization label then. Okay.
And then the previous.
Again, if this is a blocker, do we need to somehow get visibility up to the Tiger team and say, hey, make this happen?
Probably.
David, what skill set required to get this, you know, to handle this one?
You're gonna have to read it. I don't have eyes on my screen right now. I'm sorry. So I can't.
Are you on your way to ONF?
No, I am not on my way to Menlo Park.
Okay.
Commute home was enough to put me off Menlo Park for a while.
Okay, so
a question that I have is like, do we still need to have PondSim around? Since most of the tests and everything is being done will be the same, do we still want to keep it? keep PONSIM.
My main concern about BBSIM is I don't think it does data plane testing. Is that accurate?
Exactly.
Oh, okay, so there's value there for PONSIM.
Yeah.
So I think we need a simulator that does data plane testing. I don't know if Taya's on. So going forward, if BBSIM 2 does data plane testing, then I think that could supplant this. But I don't know if it's going to do that or not.
Is it easier to add it in BBSIM or to add it in PONSIM?
Considering I'm doing neither of the work right now, it's easier,
No, I understand that, but it's a general question. It's like if it's going to take a lot of work to add that to PONSIM, and for the rest of the testing we're using BBSIM, why not just add it to BBSIM?
I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah, but the way I understood is that BBSIM was to do scalability testing, to grow with a large number of OLTs and ONUs, whereas PONSIM is really, it's a single OLT, single ONU, but it will do data plane, kind of testing. So I think that's the separation between the two, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that is a separation between the two. The question is, if it's a small change to BBSIM to also add data plane testing, then it might be nice to have essentially one simulator than multiple simulators that we're trying to keep in sync, both with kind of the EA pool DHCP stack, as well. There's a little bit of overlap even at that level. Once you get past kind of DHCP, yeah, there may not be overlap, but is it just easier still to have one simulator?
Yeah, I get concerned. I get concerned that it could up the requirements of BBSIM because PONSIM, it's actually plumbing this stuff through networking on the machine, whereas BBSIM is control plane only. It's very, very lightweight. It doesn't require getting into the machine's networking, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it seems like that would up the requirements of BBSIM, from a deployment perspective.
I agree.
I expect it would.
For better or worse.
I don't know, but
assume we get data plane working on PONSIM. What is the additional value? What are we actually testing in terms of the VOLTHA components? Because we know the PONSIM is not going to be there in production. So all we have is the core and the rest of VOLTHA. Is that sufficient? Because if we use BBSIM, then we are having the rest of VOLTHA, including OpenOLT as well.
Right, it goes through a different adapter.
Yeah.
Right, because PONSIM has its own special adapter, which means I don't know what it means. Yeah, I don't know what it means.
PONSIM is at least it's a demonstration of the API in talking to the core. But it is not OpenOLT. So there's a whole lot of things that PONSIM doesn't deal with, such as resource management, tech profile, all these other features that we may really want to test.
Can we ask the question of Mateo, what he believes an effort for adding data plane to BBSIM is? Let's get some real data on this before we just do conjecture.
Yeah, I'm going to ping him now and see what he thinks.
There's also another point. I mean, at the moment with PONSIM, we're just doing a single unicast test, but there's also multicast when that becomes available as well. So that maybe further asks from BBSIM.
Well, and I think BBSIM is going to need potentially some of that anyway. I mean, I assume we want to exercise the IGMP going up as well from whatever.
Okay.
And
Well.
my brain is not functioning this morning.
So Scott, did I hear you were going to ping Mateo on that?
Yeah, I've sent him a
I have
Slack.
the right name down here. Okay, thanks. Okay, any other discussion on this at the moment? And then Scott, when you hear back from Mateo, should we put that on Volta Discuss or add comments in JIRA? I'm not sure the best way to get the message or the info to folks.
Yeah, let's, well, I think it's handy if we start augmenting these issues with more stuff in JIRA. So
Okay.
I don't know what people feel on that. I've heard before that it becomes hard to track these things if we're not constantly, adding comments as to what we found out. So I'm thinking JIRA is a good place.
I agree.
And then let me take this opportunity to point out to folks that if you are interested in following an issue, feel free to add yourself as a watcher, so you'll see those updates when they come in. And that way you don't have to proactively go check it all the time. Okay, let's go on to the next item then. Another defect that was raised in 1924, observed the panic error when object conversion in statsmanager.go. And this is while creating unit test cases.
This needs an attachment.
Yeah.
Stats Manager is not complete yet in OpenOLT adapter. I think so. Kishore here was trying to add test cases to test the Stats Manager class, and he found out a few issues.
It looks like he's planning to work on this one as well. Okay. Any other comments from the group?
Again, is this stabilization?
Apparently, all bugs that aren't new features are stabilization. Right? Wasn't that what was kind of said yesterday?
But we should still take the effort to label it, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So
otherwise, we will not be able to track them.
Yeah, label has been added. I believe that takes us through the new JIRAs. Let me go over to the agenda, make sure. 3. Okay. I think I checked 1903, but I need to go back and confirm. Okay. So I think that brings us now to status updates for the sprint. We've got about 19 minutes left. We'll see where we go here. Let me go ahead and start with 1867 and 1868. I think these were in progress but lacking an assignee, so I wanted to find out what we needed to do there. Yeah, so we have work in Garrett. Oh, and we do have an assigned. Wait, do I have the wrong? I have the wrong number up here. 67. There we go. Okay, so 1867 moves simulated OLT adapter to its own repo. This one's in progress, but we don't have an assignee. So I wanted to check on who is working on that item.
I know the repos were created.
Yeah, I see that note from Zach. And then a note that CI job's forthcoming.
I think is it just in progress because Zach created the repos and no one did anything else? I think we just move it to not in progress.
Okay. You go ahead and move that back. And I think we're probably in the same state for 1868 then. So Zach created the repo for the simulated ONU adapter. And then, so this one we just moved back to do as well, unless I hear someone's working on it. Okay. Then the next item I wanted to, was there a question or a comment?
No, that all sounds right, and the tests do exist,
Okay.
so it's ready to go.
Okay.
Everyone wants to do that up.
Okay, great, thanks. Next we'll go to 1821. This one showed us currently blocked, so I wanted to make sure we took a look at it. Gilles, this is one of yours. VOLTHA 2.0 functional test case, OLT provisioning and enabling BBSIM. And we've got your comment here from just yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I'm also blocked on that. I'm having discussion with Matteo, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, the logical device ID is changing on each instantiation of, I guess, the cluster. So that wasn't the case in 1.x, and I'm trying to find out what the best solution is.
Okay. So you said you're working with Matteo currently on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he'll be doing the fix for the issue blocking, you think?
Yeah, well, for both versions of BBSIM, so the current version and
Okay.
the rewrite. It says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anything else we need to bring up related to that on this call? Since it's being discussed, I feel better, so I just wanted to make sure it was cared for somewhere. Okay, let me go back to my list. Then we have a number that I think are probably done. 1564 is one of them. Let me move down to 1564. This one, support for deletion of flows in OpenOLT. This one, we had a note it could be closed once two related patches were merged. Those were both merged. So I believe we can move this item to resolved. Is there any difference?
Has it been cherry picked?
Yeah, this one predates the 2.1 branch. It was the catalyst for creation of the 2.1 branch.
All right. As long as it's in both branches, I'm good.
Yeah, okay. And it works. I've seen it. I've seen it work.
So I'll move that one over. Resolution. Okay, next 1878. Okay, this may be easier to track it down a different way since my screen refreshed. Okay, support for LLDP trap flow and OpenOLT adapter. Hold on one second.
This is in one branch, but not the other.
Okay, so this one is still in progress then. So it needs cherry picking for this one?
Yes.
Okay, and then 1883. This was by Mahir. This one I think was on both branches.
This one's done on both. It was finished up yesterday.
Okay, so can we go ahead and move this one to resolved then?
I think so.
Anything else needs to be done?
I think so.
Okay, thanks, Mahir. Oh, this is a. Thank you. Yes.
How was it done on the other branch? Because if I'm reading things right, the change ID exists on one branch but not on the other. Was it not done via cherry pick? Was it just done by duplicating the changes?
No, I cherry picked it.
I think your report would be out of date.
No, I just ran it. All right, I'll look into it though. All right, thank you.
Okay. I didn't cherry pick it on the get it page. I cherry picked it on command line.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I understand that. I got to figure out why the tool's still reporting it. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. 1890 is the next one. Flow decomposition does not work when standby core takes over device. Ken, this was one you were working on. I believe I saw merged in both.
Yep, that's done.
Okay. And then 1893. VOLTHA OpenOLT adapter Docker build process broken. Zach, this is one you were looking at, and it looked to me as I see it in both branches merged as well. Is there anything remaining here?
I don't believe so. I think this is resolved.
Okay. I'll move that to fixed. And actually, let me put this in 2.1. Okay. And then 1899, this one I didn't have a time to look at in detail at all before the call, but I just wanted to double check something. So David, this is one you were working on, modify OpenOLT adapter so that it passes Golang CI lint tests. And when I looked at it, it shows it merged in Garrett.
I think that was actually done. There were multiple patch sets that overlapped, and this was, I think, one of the ones we had to force merge, Zach.
Okay. And then I saw early September, there was a Jenkins failure post merge. Is that anything that needs to be looked at?
Well, that was after the actual. Go ahead.
See that one pretty regularly. It's a post-merge failure. I think something on a check.
That's part of the it's part of our dependency and code licensing check. It's still being worked on. It isn't reliable because it takes and it can time out very easily. I'm working on that, but it's
Okay, so this one we can actually move to done then, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it for the specific items I wanted to make sure we got to today. Let me see where we are. Change this one to a done. Okay, while I have a minute, I'm going to just remind everyone, if you were not here for the start of the call, this Thursday, we have the discussion on the proposal that Ken sent to VOLTHA discuss on VOLTHA 2.x device states, transitions, and actions. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please make sure you take a look at that before Thursday so we can have that discussion on our VOLTHA call. Okay, and then let me go back now to sprint status and do a refresh here. So other than the items that I touched on, are there other specific stories that anyone would like to bring up for discussion today for the active sprint work? We have a number in the to-do column and a number that are still in flight as well. Okay, it sounds like we don't need to go in depth on any other ones today, so hopefully we'll be in good shape by the end of the week. Let me open it up then, see if there are any other topics that we need to discuss with the group before we break today. Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so I think why don't I go ahead and give you a few minutes back. I'll go ahead and stop the recording and we'll close today's meeting, and then we'll meet again on Thursday for our deep dive discussion and hopefully some planning efforts as well with any remaining time we have on Thursday. Okay, I'll stop the recording.